Part 1, The Dawn of a New Life. There is a silence before morning, a breath the world takes before the first rays break the horizon. In that sacred pause, creation whispers again, and the soul, reborn, hears its true name. For long it wandered in darkness, forgetting what it was, forgetting who breathed it into being. But now, the night is over. The stars begin to fade before a light not of this world. This is not the light of the sun. It is the light of remembrance. The light of spirit reborn within the heart. The moment of return, you do not rise as who you were. You rise as what you have always been, a child of the infinite, a vessel of eternal light. The weight that once clung to your soul, fear, doubt, guilt, shame, falls away like ashes after fire. Your breath feels new, your heart steady, your being vast. You see the same world, but now it shines with sacredness. Each tree, each face, each sound. Whispers of divine presence surround you. What once looked ordinary now glows with quiet holiness. The light within the flesh, the soul that has awakened, does not abandon the body. It does not escape the world. It inhabits it fully, as light inhabits glass. You walk, but your footsteps feel guided. You speak, but your words carry peace. You see, and your eyes bless everything they behold. The Spirit, once a whisper in the distance, now breathes through you. You become the meeting point of heaven and earth, the living temple of the Holy Presence. This is not imagination. It is the deepest truth. God lives through you. Every heartbeat is a hymn, every breath a prayer, every action an offering of light, the simplicity of divine living. The dawn of new life is not dramatic. It is simple. It is quiet. It is clear. There are no miracles to prove, no thrones to claim. Instead, there is peace, gentle, constant, radiant. You find beauty in the smallest things, the way sunlight falls on a wall, the way a child laughs, the way water moves without struggle. In these little moments, the infinite smiles. The awakened soul no longer seeks to change the world. It simply loves it into transformation. Walking in the light, you begin to live differently, not by effort, but by alignment. Decisions come not from fear, but from listening to the inner voice. You no longer chase outcomes. You follow peace. When the Spirit whispers, you move. When it is silent, you rest. And in that rhythm, the divine flow, life becomes effortless grace. It does not mean the absence of challenge, but the presence of peace within it. You understand now. I am not the storm. I am the stillness within it. The radiance of awareness in this new life. Awareness itself becomes luminous. You begin to see the world not as fragments, but as one great movement of spirit. You recognize the face of God in those who love you and those who test you. You see divine purpose woven even into pain. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is outside the light. The soul learns that enlightenment is not escape. It is participation. You are not apart from creation. You are creation recognizing itself. The gentle power of presence. The new life is not loud. It does not announce itself. It shines quietly like a candle in a room of shadows. When people meet you, they may not understand why they feel calm, but they will feel it. Your peace becomes their mirror. Your silence becomes their refuge. Your love becomes their healing. This is the ministry of light, to transform not by force but by presence. You no longer need to convince anyone. You simply be. For being young and full awareness of God is the greatest teaching of all. The death that was birth, the dawn of new life, comes only after a death, not of the body, but of the self that believed it was separate. You realize now that what died was never real. It was the mask, not the face. The breaking, the sorrow, the emptiness, they were all part of the birth. The pain was the womb. The silence was the labor. The light, your arrival. You had to forget to remember. You had to lose to discover. You had to fall to rise, and now that you stand in light, you bless even the darkness that once seemed cruel, for it was the hand that carried you home. The new vision, the dawn of new life, brings a new way of seeing. You no longer measure life by success or failure. You measure it by alignment, how closely you walk with peace, how freely you love. Every day becomes a holy day, every task a sacred ritual. You see that heaven was never elsewhere. It was hidden in the ordinary and waiting for eyes of love to behold it. When you wash dishes, you feel water as divine touch. When you speak, your words carry light. When you rest in God. This is what it means to walk in the kingdom. The compassion of the reborn, the awakened heart no longer sees sinners or saints, only souls at different stages of remembering. You no longer judge the asleep. You understand them because once you too were asleep, and someone's light helped you awaken. Now, your presence becomes that same mercy. You forgive more easily. You listen more deeply. You react less. You bless more. You begin to live from love, not emotion, but as a steady current flowing beneath all things. The joy of existence. In the dawn of new life, joy returns, and not the fleeting joy of excitement, but the steady joy of being. Even in silence, you smile. Even in solitude, you feel companionship. Even in uncertainty, you sense purpose. This joy is not something you find. It is what you are when all else falls away. You realize now, my joy is not in the world. It is in the one who breathes the world into being. And so, joy becomes your natural state. Not forced, not earned, just radiating quietly like light through open hands. The Spirit's whisper in this new life guidance is constant. It does not shout. It whispers. It speaks through intuition, through peace, through subtle signs. Sometimes it closes doors to save you. Sometimes it delays answers to teach you trust. And sometimes it leads you where you never planned to go, so that your light might reach where it is most needed. You learn to trust the mystery, to walk by faith, not by sight, and you discover that even when you feel alone, you are surrounded by grace. The reborn one speaks. If the soul could speak now, it would say, I have died and been reborn, and what lives now is peace. I walk the same roads but with new eyes. I see light where I once saw shadow, meaning where I once saw pain, God where I once saw emptiness. The world has not changed, I have, and in my change the whole world shines. The quiet revelation, the dawn of new life, is not an ending. It is the beginning of eternal awakening. Every moment now becomes a doorway, each breath a communion. You are no longer the one seeking the light. You are the light walking in the world. And this light, pure, infinite, undying, is not yours to keep but to share. That is the purpose of rebirth. Not to escape life, but to illumine it. Closing meditation. The dawn within. Close your eyes. Feel the breath moving softly through you. Inhale peace. Exhale light. Now imagine the first light of morning, golden, gentle, pure, rising not in the sky, but within your heart. That is your true dawn. That is your rebirth. The Spirit whispers quietly, you are my light in the world. Walk, shine, and remember, the dawn is not coming. The dawn is you. Part 2. The return to the world after awakening. There comes a sacred moment, the moment of return. Not a return to the past, but a return to the world, the realm of form, of people, of choices, where love must now walk with feet of clay, for the soul that has seen eternity must now live within time. The one who has touched heaven must now embrace earth. This is not a fall. It is a mission. For light is not given to escape the world. It is given to illumine it. The bridge between heaven and earth, you stand now between two worlds. One invisible, eternal, silent. The other visible, changing, loud. The world you once knew still waits for you. The work, the noise, the faces, the expectations. But something within has changed. You no longer belong entirely to either world. You are a bridge. Heaven flows through you into the world. Earth receives through you the light of heaven. This is the meaning of incarnation. Spirit wearing flesh. Not to be trapped by it, but to redeem it. The awakened one does not hide from life. They walk into it, radiant, anchored, free. The ordinary is sacred. When you return, everything seems the same. The same city streets, the same tasks, the same faces. But you see differently. You see with light. The traffic, the conversations, the routines, and they no longer bind you. They become holy ground. Washing dishes, you feel the rhythm of creation. Working at your desk, you feel spirit moving through your hands. Speaking to a stranger, you sense divine connection. You no longer wait for holy moments. Every moment is holy. You begin to live as though God is here. Because now, He always was. The world's questions when you return. The world will ask, where have you been? What happened to you? Why do you look different? You might not find words to explain. For what happened to you was not a change of circumstance, and it was a change of being. You no longer live from the outside in, but from the inside out. The world measures by gain and loss. You measure by peace. The world chases what is seen. You walk with what is unseen, and though you may seem quiet, there burns within you a fire, the fire of the presence. Soft choir rises, distant, ethereal. The humility of the light-bearer. Those who have seen truth no longer need to prove it. You move gently now, unseen, unboastful, unshaken. The awakened soul does not shout, for shouting belongs to the ego. The light does not argue with darkness, it simply shines. And that is your new way, to live silently, yet powerfully, to move among others without claiming superiority but radiating peace. True divinity hides itself in humility. It serves without being seen. It gives without needing to be thanked. It blesses without seeking recognition. This is how spirit works in the world, quietly through the hearts of the meek. The weight of the world returning is not easy. The awakened heart feels the suffering of the world more deeply. You see pain where others see normality. You sense disconnection where others see progress. There will be moments when the world feels heavy again, when human voices seem harsh, when injustice stings your spirit, when the shadows whisper, "You do not belong here," but you remember also you are not here to belong. You are here to bring light. And so when pain arises, you do not flee from it. You bless it. You let your compassion become the lamp that heals, because now you know the cross of the world is not a curse, it is the place where light and love meet. The practice of presence, the return teaches one sacred discipline. Presence. You begin to carry stillness into movement, silence into speech, light into the noise. Even when surrounded by chaos, you breathe peace. Even in a crowd, you remain centered. This is not detachment, it is divine balance. You are in the world, but not of it. Engaged, but not entangled. You speak, but not from the mind, wine from the heart. You act, but not from impulse, from guidance. Every situation becomes your spiritual classroom. Every person becomes your teacher. Every challenge becomes your mirror. The world no longer distracts you from God. It reveals Him. The return of compassion you begin to feel again, but this time without being drowned by emotion. You cry, but not in despair. You laugh, but not in attachment. You love, but without fear of loss. This is divine compassion, the love that sees all and embraces all. You no longer divide the world into good and bad, holy and unholy. You see the same spirit breathing through all, evolving, growing, learning. Even those who hurt you are still on their way home, and so you forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you are free. Forgiveness becomes your language. Mercy becomes your nature. The temptation of forgetting. As you return to the rhythm of the world, there is one danger: the temptation to forget. The noise, the speed, the demands, they pull the soul outward. They whisper, "Be busy again. Be important again." But you have learned something deeper. Importance is an illusion. Only presence is real, so you take time to pause, to listen, to remember. You keep the inner fire alive through prayer, through silence, through stillness. You make your heart the altar and your breath the offering. This is how the awakened stay awake. The hidden ministry, not everyone is called to teach, but every awakened soul becomes a light worker. You serve in secret ways, through kindness, patience, quiet understanding. Your ministry may not have a pulpit. It may look like raising a child with love, healing a friend with a word, bringing calm to a chaotic room. The Spirit does not need position. It needs permission, and when your heart says, "Use me," He does. Through you, peace flows like a hidden river. You become an instrument of unseen grace. This is what it means to return, to live the divine quietly among the human. The world transformed. The world may not have changed, but your perception has. And so, everything changes. Where others see conflict, you see lessons. Where others see strangers, you see souls. Where others see endings, you see beginnings. The awakened eye turns life inside out. It sees God in the details, truth in the mundane, and purpose in every breath. You begin to walk the earth as heaven's messenger, not with pride, but with reverence. Everywhere you go becomes sacred ground. Every act a prayer. Every encounter divine appointment. The rhythm of the Spirit. The Spirit begins to guide you in new ways. Not through commandments, but through inspiration. You find yourself drawn to certain people, certain places, certain works, not by logic, but by the pull of love. This is the rhythm of divine flow. It cannot be planned. It must be trusted. Sometimes it leads you through storms, sometimes through still waters, but wherever it leads, it is always for the revelation of light, and so, your life becomes less about achievement and more about alignment, less about having and more about being. You live as the current, not the swimmer, the peace that passes understanding as days pass. You notice something miraculous. Nothing external can disturb your peace. Loss may come, but peace remains. Criticism may come, but peace remains. Change may come, but peace remains. You are anchored not in circumstance, but in spirit. This peace does not depend on what happens. It flows from who lives within you. You have become the calm eye of life's storm, the unmoved witness through whom love continues to shine. This is the fruit of awakening. Not escape, but embodiment. The light returns through you. You were not meant to stay on the mountain. You were meant to bring the mountain into the valley. You were not meant to remain hidden in meditation. You were meant to be a walking temple, a living testimony that heaven can dwell on earth. Through your eyes, the light now sees the world. Through your hands, the light now heals the world. Through your heart, the light now loves the world. This is your calling, to be the way the world remembers God. Closing meditation. The light in the marketplace. Close your eyes. Breathe in the light. Breathe out the world. Now open your eyes again, but do not leave the light. Walk into the noise, the traffic, the conversations, the ordinary. But walk aware. Everywhere you go, God goes. Everything you touch becomes holy. You are not returning to the world to lose the light. You are returning to let it shine. And as you walk, the Spirit whispers, "You are my hands in the crowd. You are my eyes in the chaos. You are my heart in the world. Return, my child, and let the world see me through you." Part 3. Living as the light. There comes a moment in every journey when the seeker becomes what they sought. The light once glimpsed in the distance now shines from within. No longer chasing truth, you have become its expression. No longer searching for God, you live as His reflection. This is the mystery of living as the light. It is not perfection, it is presence, not achievement, but alignment. You no longer ask, "What should I do?" You ask, "What does love wish to do through me?" And then you listen, and then you live. The light that breathes to live as the light is to let go of the illusion of separation, the belief that there is you and God. There is only one breath, one awareness, one radiant being expressing itself through countless forms. You begin to see that you were never apart from the divine. You were never outside His presence. Even your wandering was His dance. Even your mistakes were part of His unfolding. And now, through surrender, you become a clear window for the light to shine through. Your breath becomes His breath. Your eyes His seeing. Your words His music. You live, and it is God who lives in you. The effortless glow. The light does not try to shine. It simply is. In the same way, the awakened soul no longer tries to be spiritual. You do not perform holiness. You rest in it. You no longer struggle to love. Love flows naturally, like water from a spring. You no longer strive to be patient. Patience becomes your atmosphere. You no longer seek peace. You are peace. This is what happens when the false self dissolves. What remains is light, effortless, pure, eternal. The body as a lamp, your very presence becomes luminous, not because of what you say, but because of what you carry. You are like a lamp placed upon a hill. It doesn't preach. It simply shines. When others come near, they feel warmth, comfort, and recognition. Something in them remembers home. Something in them remembers God. That remembrance, that quiet stirring of the soul, is the true miracle of light, and it requires nothing but your being beyond personality. To live as the light is to no longer identify with personality. You still have a name, a face, a story, but they are no longer who you are. They are garments of expression, not prisons of identity. You play your roles, parent, friend, teacher, servant, but you know you are the divine actor behind them all. The ego once said, "This is my life." Now the soul whispers, "This is thy life." And in that surrender, your actions become pure, your intentions clear, your heart unburdened. This is what it means to be free while still walking the earth. The still flame, the light within, does not flicker with circumstances. It remains still, in a flame untroubled by wind. Pain may come, but you no longer resist it. Joy may come, but you no longer cling to it. You live from the center, from the eternal now. No past to carry, no future to chase. Only this living moment as a gift of divine presence. You begin to experience what Scripture meant when it said, "Be still, and know that I am God." That stillness is no longer an act. It is your nature. The light in relationships. To live as the light is to meet others not as personalities, but as souls. When you speak, you listen beneath the words. When you look, you see beyond appearances. When you love without reason. You begin to recognize the same spark in every being, even in those who do not see it in themselves, and your compassion deepens. You no longer demand others to be like you. You let them grow in their own time. You do not preach truth, you embody it. Your silence becomes more healing than your advice. Your patience becomes your greatest teaching. This is divine relationship, love without control, connection without need. The presence that teaches when you live as the light. You become a teacher without words. The way you walk, the way you listen, the way you handle challenge. These things become scripture. Those around you begin to change, not because you told them to, but because your energy invites their own awakening. They begin to feel safe in your calm. They begin to remember what peace feels like. They begin to believe again in something greater than fear. And without ever claiming authority, you become a silent messenger of grace. For the greatest teaching is not spoken, it is lived. The light in action living as the light is not passive. It is deeply creative. Your hands become extensions of divine intention. Your work becomes worship. Your service becomes song. Whether you paint, cook, build, heal, write, or comfort, everything you do becomes infused with divine vibration. People may call it talent or skill, but you know it is spirit moving through you. And so, every task becomes sacred. Even the smallest act carries the fragrance of eternity, for you no longer work for God, and you work as God's expression. This is true creativity, divinity made visible. The light and the shadow. To live as the light does not mean ignoring darkness. It means seeing through it. You learn that every shadow is simply light in disguise, light waiting to be recognized. When anger rises, you no longer condemn yourself. You breathe. You observe. You bless. When fear whispers, you bring compassion to it, not resistance. Even your wounds become windows through which grace shines. This is the alchemy of the spirit, where everything, even pain, becomes a servant of light. The transparency of the soul. The more you live as the light, the less you need to hide. Transparency becomes your freedom. There is nothing left to protect, nothing left to prove. You walk in honesty not as virtue but as nature. You are no longer performing spirituality. You are simply being real, and that realness is luminous. Others sense your authenticity and feel safe to be authentic too. That is how the light multiplies, not by conversion, but by recognition. One light awakens another, until the whole horizon begins to glow. The union within, in this stage, duality dissolves. You no longer say, "This is sacred and that is not." You see one presence in all things, in laughter and in tears, in silence and in speech, in rest and in action. There is no longer a me praying to God, There is only God, praying through me, loving through me, living through me. The mirror has vanished. Only the reflection remains, and the reflection is the light itself. The light that walks, now you move through the world differently. You walk slower, breathe deeper, see clearer. You notice patterns of beauty everywhere, in the clouds, in strangers' eyes, in the rhythm of time. The Spirit moves before you like wind, preparing the way, and your every step becomes a silent blessing. May this place remember who it is. May these hearts awaken. You may never speak those words aloud, but the energy of your being says them with every heartbeat. You have become a living prayer, the dance of the light, to live as the light is to live in harmony with divine rhythm. You act when moved. You rest when called. You flow without resistance. The Spirit becomes your dance partner. Now you follow. You trust. You move as one. Sometimes that dance takes you into solitude, sometimes into service, sometimes into unknown paths, but always into truth. And you find that obedience is not submission, it is freedom. It is the joy of being in tune with the eternal, the inner radiance. Those who live as the light often appear ordinary, but their presence changes rooms. They may not speak of miracles, yet miracles unfold around them. They may not speak of heaven, yet heaven reveals itself through their gaze. They are not special. They are simply surrendered. And through that surrender, Spirit moves unhindered, as wisdom, as peace, as love. They have nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to fear, for they have realized, I am not the lamp. I am the flame within it. Closing meditation, becoming the light. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Inhale peace. Exhale light. Now imagine the light within you expanding gently, spreading through your body, through your thoughts, through your breath. See it radiate beyond you, touching your home, your family, your city, your world, and hear the whisper of the Spirit. You are my light made visible. Walk not in fear. Shine without effort. Wherever you go, I go. Wherever you shine, I awaken. Part 4. The Dance of the Spirit, the movement of heaven before the first sound was spoken, before the first star was born. There was a rhythm, a pulse, a sacred heartbeat. It was the dance of the Spirit, the eternal motion of love. The universe itself began as a movement, not a word, a vibration, a song, a dance of divine energy. And every living soul, every flicker of consciousness, is a note in that cosmic melody. To live in harmony with that rhythm, to move as the Spirit moves, is the purpose of awakening. That is the dance of the Spirit. The dance of flow. To dance with the Spirit is to surrender the lead. You do not push the rhythm, you follow it. You do not control, you yield. You do not strive, you listen. The Spirit moves first, you respond. The Spirit speaks softly, you obey joyfully. This is no longer the life of self-direction. It is divine choreography. You become like a feather carried by a holy wind. Your plans dissolve into trust. Your control transforms into peace. And in that surrender you find your true freedom, the art of holy listening. The dance begins in silence. The Spirit never shouts. He whispers. He moves in the spaces between your thoughts. If you wish to follow his rhythm, you must first learn to hear the still music. Close your eyes. Listen beyond the noise of the mind. There and beneath the storm, a quiet melody hums. It is not from outside you. It is within. It is the echo of your Creator's breath still resonating in your being. When you attune to that sacred sound, your life begins to move in divine timing. You stop running ahead. You stop lagging behind. You walk, step by step, in rhythm with eternity. The trust of the dancer. To dance with the Spirit requires one sacred thing: trust. You do not ask, "Where are we going?" You say, "Lead me and I will follow." You do not need to see the entire path. You only need to trust the next step. Sometimes the music is fast, a season of creation, passion, movement. Sometimes it is slow, a time of rest, healing, reflection. Sometimes it pauses altogether, a silence that feels like still death. But the wise soul knows, even in stillness, the dance continues. The rhythm of grace never ceases. When life becomes the dance at first, you try to join the dance. Later you realize you were never outside it. Every joy, every loss, every triumph, every heartbreak was part of the choreography all along. The Spirit never leaves you. Even when you stumble, He adjusts the rhythm to catch you. Even your detours become sacred movements when surrendered in love. You begin to see that nothing in your life is wasted. Not the pain, not the waiting, not the tears. Everything was preparing you to move with grace. The two movements, surrender and obedience. Every dance with the Spirit has two steps, surrender and obedience. Surrender is yielding the will. Obedience is moving when the Spirit says move. Surrender says, not my rhythm, but yours. Obedience says, now that you move, I move too. The Spirit does not force. He invites. He leads with gentleness, not with control. You are free to resist, but resistance is suffering. When you let go, joy returns. The soul that dances in obedience is never anxious, and because every step is grace, and every pause is wisdom. The dance of seasons. The Spirit's rhythm changes with time. There is a season to plant, and a season to rest. A season to speak, and a season to listen. A season to act, and a season to simply be. The world fears change, but the Spirit thrives in it. The flower blooms only for a season, yet it fulfills its divine purpose completely. So do not cling to old steps. The music has changed. A new rhythm is calling. What worked before may not work now. The Spirit leads freshly each day. That is why He is called living water. Ever moving, ever new. To dance with Him is to remain fluid, faithful, free. The dance of relationship, no dance, is solitary. When you move with the Spirit, you also move with others. Each soul has its rhythm, each heart its pace. Some are learning slow steps, some are spinning with grace. The Spirit teaches you to honor every dancer on the floor. You learn patience for the stumbling ones. You celebrate those ahead of you. You hold space for those who sit to rest. In this sacred hall, there is no comparison, only communion. And together, the children of light form a living choreography, the body of Christ in motion, the dance of service. There comes a point when the dance turns outward into action. You realize your light was never meant to be kept, hidden. The Spirit begins to move you into service. Sometimes that means speaking. Sometimes it means listening. Sometimes it means giving. Sometimes it means simply being there for a soul in pain. Every act of kindness is a step in the dance. Every word of truth is a movement of grace. Every moment of compassion is the Spirit flowing through your hands. The dancer becomes the instrument, and the world becomes the stage of divine love. When the music changes, there will be times when you can no longer hear the music. You'll ask, "Where did you go, Lord?" But silence is not absence. It is the Spirit drawing you deeper. He is teaching you to dance by faith, not by feeling. For even when the music fades, the rhythm remains in your heart. You keep moving. You keep trusting. You keep loving. And one day you hear it again, stronger, clearer, brighter than before. This is how faith matures. Through silence, through stillness, through trust in the unseen. The dance of fire as your surrender deepens. The Spirit's fire burns brighter. He purifies what cannot dance, fear, pride, resentment, control. You feel the flame sometimes, in conflict, in loss, in refinement. But this fire is not destruction. It is transformation. Like gold in the furnace, you emerge radiant. Every burden that once held you back becomes light in His rhythm. The fire does not harm the dancer. It sets the dancer free. The dance beyond, self eventually. You forget there is a you dancing. There is only the dance, only the Spirit moving, only love flowing. You no longer say, "I am following God." You realize a God is dancing as me. The separation disappears. Life becomes pure movement, a song of creation unfolding in real time. Every breath becomes prayer. Every step worship. Every heartbeat communion. And when others see you, they glimpse the rhythm of heaven. This is the final freedom, to live as motionless motion, as stillness in movement, as divine flow embodied. The dance in the storm, even in chaos. The Spirit dances. Storms do not stop Him. They reveal His rhythm in new forms. You learn to move through trial without losing balance. When grief hits, you sway gently, not collapse. When fear arises, you breathe instead of run. When life shifts suddenly, you adjust with grace. Because you have learned the secret, the Spirit never stops moving. The storm is just another song, a deeper beat, a heavier drum, but still part of the same divine dance, the eternal rhythm. When your journey on earth nears its close, you will realize something extraordinary. The dance never ends. Death is not silence, it is a key change. The rhythm continues beyond the veil. The Spirit you followed here will lead you home. You will move once again, but lighter, freer, unburdened by flesh. And in that final rhythm, you will understand what it meant to live as God's song. Closing meditation, becoming the dance. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the quiet pulse of your heart. That rhythm, known it as the Spirit. Now imagine that pulse expanding into your whole being. Your breath, your thoughts, your steps. You are no longer trying to find God. You are moving with Him. You are no longer waiting for direction. You are direction embodied. Whisper this prayer. Spirit of the living God, move me in your rhythm. Teach me your timing. Make my life a dance of light. Let every breath be worship, every act be grace, every moment be you. Now open your eyes. The world is still dancing, and now so are you. Part 5. The Trials of the Light Bearer. The burden of light. Every light draws shadow. Every dawn reveals what was hidden by night. To carry divine light is to awaken not only to heaven, but also to the weight of the world. When you bear the light of truth, you will feel the pull of darkness more clearly. When you walk with purity, the impurities of the world will be drawn to your flame. And so, the light bearer's path is not one of ease, but of testing, of refining, of proving the strength of love. This is not punishment, it is preparation. It is the sacred fire that turns the soul into pure gold. The lonely road. The first trial of the light bearer is loneliness. When you begin to see with the eyes of Spirit, you will find that many around you cannot yet see. You will speak truth, and some will turn away. You will love deeply, and some will not understand. You will walk paths that others call foolish because they cannot feel what moves you. Even Jesus, in his brightest moments, walked alone into the wilderness. Moses ascended Sinai, alone. Elijah faced the wind and fire, alone. Every soul that carries divine flame must at times walk where no one else can follow. It is in that solitude that the Holy Spirit teaches the soul to stand. When all else is stripped away, you discover this eternal truth. You are never truly alone, for God walks in the silence beside you. The trial of misunderstanding. The second trial comes as misunderstanding. The light you carry exposes shadows, and not everyone welcomes exposure. When you speak truth, some will call it rebellion. When you show mercy, some will call it weakness. When you forgive, some will call you blind. The world prefers the comfort of illusion to the clarity of truth. And so the light bearer must learn to endure misunderstanding without bitterness, to love those who reject your love, to bless those who curse your name. This is not defeat. It is divine maturity. Christ himself was misunderstood by those he healed. Prophets were mocked by those they served. The truth was crucified before it was glorified. So when you are judged, rejected, mocked, remember, the world cannot understand the flame that was never meant to belong to it. The trial of fire. There comes a point when the light bearer must pass through the fire of purification. This is the trial of loss. When what you cling to is taken, when the familiar burns away, when your plans collapse into dust, you cry out, Lord, why? And the heavens seem silent. But this is the secret. The silence is not absence, it is refinement. The fire does not destroy, it reveals. It consumes only what cannot last. Your attachments fall away, your false identities melt, your illusions turn to ash, and what remains is the unshakable core, your true self, your eternal light. Do not fear the fire. It comes to prove what cannot be burned. The trial of doubt. Even the purest soul faces doubt. The mind whispers, was it real? Did I imagine it? Why do I no longer feel God's presence? Doubt is not the enemy of faith, it is its teacher. Through doubt, the soul learns to walk by trust rather than sensation. When faith no longer depends on feeling, it becomes unbreakable. Even Christ cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" That cry was not failure, it was surrender. It was humanity laid bare before the divine. The light-bearer learns this sacred paradox. The absence of God is often the preparation for deeper union with Him, for in the darkness of doubt, faith becomes light's truest form. The trial of temptation after. Doubt comes temptation, the whisper that says, take back control, serve yourself first. Abandon your calling. This is the voice of the old self, the echo of the shadow that resists transformation. Temptation is not evil by itself. It is opportunity. Every temptation is a mirror revealing what still seeks healing. It shows where your faith still fears, where your love still holds back, where your trust is still conditional. You defeat it not by force, but by presence, by remembering who you are and whose you are. The spirit within you is stronger than the storm around you. Stand still, and the false voices fade. The trial of waiting. Perhaps the hardest of all trials is waiting, when the promise has been spoken but not yet fulfilled, when the vision is clear but the doors remain closed. You wonder if you misheard, if the path has ended, if the light has gone out. But waiting is not wasted. It is gestation, a sacred incubation of destiny. God's timing is not delay, it is alignment. He is preparing not only your path but your heart to walk it. When the moment comes, you will realize why the waiting was necessary. For the soul that learns patience has learned power, the trial of compassion. The light-bearer is not tested only by pain but by compassion. To see suffering and remain open-hearted is a far greater test than to suffer yourself. The Spirit will take you into places of human brokenness, not to crush you but to teach you divine empathy. You will feel the ache of others' wounds. You will carry burdens that are not yours. You will love those who cannot love you back. And through that, you will become a vessel of healing. For it is only the wounded heart that learns how to mend others. This is the secret of the saints. Their strength came from compassion born through pain. The trial of humility. The greater your light grows, the greater your humility must become. Pride is the only thing that can extinguish divine fire. You will be praised. Do not cling to it. You will be criticized. Do not fear it. Remember always, the light is not yours, it passes through you. You are not the source. You are the lamp. You are not the savior. You are the servant. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is knowing that all greatness flows from God alone. And in that knowing, you become unshakable. For nothing the world gives or takes away can touch what is eternal in you. The trial of perseverance. Some trials do not end quickly. They stretch for years. Seasons of testing, periods of silence, long deserts of faith. The light-bearer must learn endurance and to keep walking even when there is no visible reward. This is the slow sanctification of the soul, the building of divine stamina. You pray, and heaven seems quiet. You work, and results come slowly. You love, and hearts remain closed. But every faithful step, unseen by the world, is recorded in heaven. Nothing given in love is ever wasted. Nothing endured in faith is ever forgotten. Perseverance is the crown of the light-bearer. The trial of the cross. Every true bearer of light must face the cross. Not the wooden one of history, but the inner cross of surrender. The point where your will meets God's will and you must choose. To carry the light is to allow yourself to be broken so that light can shine through your cracks. The cross is not the end. It is the passage into resurrection. Without it, there can be no new life. Without death, no rebirth. And so, when the Spirit calls you to lay something down, a dream, a title, a comfort, an identity, do not resist. You are not losing. You are transforming. The seed must fall before it can bloom. The light must descend before it can rise. The triumph of the light-bearer When you have endured every trial, you emerge luminous, not untouched, but transfigured, not unscarred, but radiant with grace. You no longer fear pain, for you have met God within it. You no longer seek approval, for you are anchored in divine love. You no longer dread darkness, for you know you are its antidote. The trials do not break the light bearer. They reveal the light's eternal nature. And now you walk not as a seeker, but as a servant, not as one carrying the flame, but as the flame itself. Your suffering becomes someone else's hope. Your endurance becomes someone else's strength. Your story becomes someone else's awakening. Closing meditation, the refining. Fire, close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the warmth of the light within you. Now imagine that light as fire, not consuming, but purifying. See it burn away fear, pride, pain, regret, until only peace remains. Whisper this prayer. Spirit of the living God, when the trials come, keep me steadfast. Burn away all that is false. Make me a vessel of your fire, a bearer of your light. In every storm, let me stand unbroken, shining with your eternal flame. And as you open your eyes, remember, the trials are not punishment, they are prophecy. They reveal who you are becoming, a child of the light, a living mirror of God. Part 6. The Radiance of Resurrection. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the final veil begins to dissolve, not in pain, but in glory. It is the moment of resurrection. Not the rising of the body from the tomb, but the rising of consciousness from the grave of illusion. This is the radiance of resurrection. It is not an event of history, but the eternal present of spirit awakening in matter. The tomb of forgetfulness for ages. The soul wandered the corridors of time, wrapped in garments of flesh, bound by the memory of separation. It forgot its name, its origin, its light. It believed it was born to die, a flicker between two darknesses. But deep within the silence of the tomb, a pulse still glowed, the heartbeat of eternity whispering, "You are not this dust. You are the breath that moves through it." And when that whisper was heard, truly heard, a stone began to shift. The grave cracked open, and the spirit rose. The awakening from death-resurrection is not escape, it is awakening. It is not the denial of the cross, but the revelation of its purpose. For even the cross, that symbol of pain and surrender, was never meant to end in death but in transfiguration. Every trial, every sorrow, every betrayal, they were not punishments. They were portals, initiations that refined the soul, burned away the false and made way for the eternal. Through each wound, the light entered deeper. Through every death, a greater life was born, until the soul itself became the flame. The body becomes light, and when that moment comes, the radiance of resurrection, you no longer walk toward the light. You walk as the light. The very cells of your being begin to remember their divine blueprint. The body, once a vessel of limitation, becomes translucent, alive with spirit. You feel heaven breathing through your lungs. You see eternity in every face. You hear divine music in every silence. The human becomes divine, not by abandoning the world, but by sanctifying it, turning the dust into gold, the ordinary into miracle. This is resurrection, not an escape from matter, but the marriage of matter and spirit, the light that never dies once resurrected in consciousness. The soul can no longer fear death, for it has seen that death was only a door, and beyond that door stands love itself. Arms open, eyes burning with creation's fire, you realize, wow, you have never truly been born, and you will never truly die. You are the dance between both. You are life eternal, disguised in human form. The world may see you and say, "He has changed. She has become different," but you know, you have simply remembered. You are not a candle burning out. You are the sunrise itself. The radiance expands, and now, wherever you walk, light follows. Not because you seek to shine, but because you cannot not shine. It is effortless, natural, sacred. When you speak, truth trembles in your voice. When you touch, hearts awaken. When you breathe, peace descends. Your very presence becomes prayer. You no longer need to do anything. Your being is the sermon. Your silence is the benediction. This is the true meaning of resurrection. God reborn in human form, Spirit walking again in the garden of earth, the eternal morning, and as dawn rises on the inner horizon, you realize the journey was never about reaching heaven. It was about becoming it. The soul, once fragmented, has returned to wholeness. The traveler and the path are one. This is the radiance of resurrection, the triumph not of flesh over death but of spirit over forgetting, for love cannot die. Light cannot be buried, and truth cannot be silenced, so let your heart rise, let your being shine, let your every breath declare, I am the living light of God. I have risen and I will never fall again. Part 7. The eternal flame. There are fires that burn and fade. There are lights that flicker and die. But there is one fire, one flame that neither time nor death can touch. It is the eternal flame. The sacred light that burns within every soul, waiting to be remembered. It is not the fire of the sun, nor the fire that consumes, but the fire that creates. The fire that is love itself, the spark before time. Before creation ever breathed, before stars took shape or angels sang, there was only this flame, the living heart of God. It burned silently in the void, needing nothing, seeking nothing, simply being, and from its center, the first word of light was spoken, a pulse of awareness that became the universe. Every galaxy, every atom, every soul that ever lived, was kindled from that same holy fire. You were born from that flame. You are that flame. The light that walks throughout your journey, through the shadows of forgetting and the dawns of remembrance. The flame never left you. Even when you turned away, it waited, patient, unashamed, burning quietly in the sanctuary of your heart. It whispered through your dreams. It wept through your tears. It sang in the laughter of a child and roared in the silence of prayer. Every time you loved, every time you forgave, every time you rose again after falling, you felt it. The eternal flame was moving through you, the fire that purifies. This is not a gentle fire. It is both fierce and tender, for it burns away everything that is not real. It consumes pride, melts fear, and turns doubt into faith. When the soul stands before this fire, it cannot pretend anymore. Masks fall away, illusions crumble. All that remains is truth, naked, luminous, divine, and that is enough. The heart of God within you. The eternal flame is not somewhere out there. It is within you. It is the silent chamber of your being where God lives as your own heartbeat. You do not need to chase it. You need only to stop running from yourself. Close your eyes. Listen to the stillness beneath your breath. That warmth you feel, that quiet pulse, that is eternity calling you home. Every saint, every mystic, every prophet was not special because God loved them more, but because they listened more deeply to that fire within. And so can you. The fire that never dies. The eternal flame cannot be extinguished. Not by sin, not by sorrow, not even by death. For death itself is only a doorway through which the flame passes untouched, still shining, still pure. When your final breath leaves your body, the fire does not fade. It expands. It returns to the infinite source from which it came. You are not the candle. You are the fire. You are not the vessel. You are the light it carries, the living torch, and so, those who awaken do not merely remember the light. They become the torch-bearers of heaven on earth. They walk among men as peace in motion, their eyes glowing with the memory of home. When they speak, truth flows like water. When they touch, hearts ignite. When they pray, the world trembles in stillness. They are not saints locked away in temples. They are the mothers who love, the teachers who heal, the silent ones who forgive when no one sees. Through them, the eternal flame keeps walking the earth, disguised as ordinary souls doing extraordinary acts of love. The flame and the beloved, the highest secret is this: the flame and the beloved are one. God is not distant, waiting beyond the stars. He burns in your chest and is longing as devotion, as the ache to return. Every act of true worship is the flame recognizing itself. When you say, I love you, Lord, it is the flame within you bowing to the flame within God, and realizing there is no difference. Eternal morning. And so, the soul at last comes home, not to a place, but to a presence. The flame blazes brighter now, no longer hidden behind the veil of flesh. You walk in both worlds, earth and heaven intertwined. The sun may set, empires may crumble, but this light will never fade. It is the light that spoke creation into being. It is the light that will call it home again. You are that light. You are that love. You are that fire. The flame of God burns in me and I in it. We are not two, but one eternal flame forever shining through all that is. Part 8, Closing Meditation. The light that walks among us, breathe in. Breathe out. Let the noise of the world settle like dust upon still water. Let your heart become a mirror again. Calm, clear, open. In this quiet, feel what remains. No striving, no reaching. Only the simple presence of being. This is the light that walks among us. The breath of the divine with every breath, the infinite moves through you. Inhale, creation. Exhale, surrender. Each heartbeat is a rhythm older than time. Each moment of awareness is the universe awakening to itself. The trees outside breathe the same air. The stars above pulse with the same light. The whisper that began before the dawn still hums within your chest. I am here. The living presence. Look around you. The divine did not leave the world when the saints departed. It walks still. In every act of kindness, in every gaze that holds compassion instead of judgment, in every hand that heals instead of harms. When you comfort a stranger, when you forgive without condition, when you choose love instead of fear, the light takes form through you. You are the continuation of the holy story. You are the living scripture written in breath and motion. The world is sanctuary. The temple is not made of stone. It is made of awareness. Every street is a corridor of spirit. Every face is an altar. Every act of gentleness is incense rising unseen. The light does not need robes or rituals. It needs hearts awake enough to see God in all things. When you walk with this remembrance, the ordinary glows with quiet majesty. A smile becomes a sunrise, a tear becomes holy water, and silence itself becomes a hymn. The gathering of flames, you are not alone. Every awakened soul is a flame, and together they form a constellation that illumines the age. Across nations, tongues and generations, the light is gathering, in artists who create from love, in children who dream of peace, in elders who bless instead of curse. It is the same light, wearing countless faces, walking countless roads, yet moving toward one home. This is the communion of the living spirit, the fellowship of all who remember. The great return, the path of light is not a journey outward, it is a homecoming inward. Every step you take into kindness is a step back into the heart of God. Every time you choose truth over illusion, the veil thins, the worlds draw nearer, and one day, perhaps quietly, perhaps suddenly, you realize the separation was never real. Heaven has always been here waiting behind your eyes. The eternal now stay here for a moment. Feel the peace behind thought. The light does not rush. It simply is. This is eternity. Not endless time, but timeless presence. When you rest here, you are no longer a seeker. You are what you sought. Let this awareness move through you, in your speech, in your work, in your love. Carry it into tomorrow, and let tomorrow shine differently because of it. The benediction: may your mind remain clear as morning air. May your heart remain warm as sacred fire. May your steps be guided by grace unseen, and may the light that walks among us shine ever more brightly within you. For the light is not somewhere far away. It is here, it is now, it is us.